Today we have none other than Chef Nti joining us on the sit down from Soweto to the world. She has 2 cooking shows out, a successful cookbook already on our stores, on our shelves, and we're going to be delving into a conversation about her career path on the Sit Down Careers today. Join me. The food and hospitality industry is growing exponentially in South Africa, and with that comes a lot of competition. And in order to stand out, you have to be exceptionally great at what you do. One person whose name is synonymous with excellence is Nthabiseng Ramaboa, popularly known as Chef Nti. She stole our hearts as the sought-after food connoisseur who has had an incredibly impressive journey. She is a seasoned businesswoman with expertise in fashion, and now she is introducing the world to South Africa with her new cooking show, Street Food in Africa, on the Food Network channel, which broadcasts to over 140 countries. And in her own words, it does not get better than this. Today on the Sit Down Careers, we get to learn more about the highs and the lows of her career in the food industry, particularly paving her own path as an entrepreneur with multiple businesses, and how traveling has influenced the person she is today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. I love the show.
Thank you. I'm so honored to have you today because I've watched from the beginning.
Like all the way back then.
I've been a fan and a follower from the beginning when you were starting out to look at you now. Look at you now, living out all your dreams.
Oh, it feels so surreal, but then the hard work reminds me that I'm leaving it, you know?
So from Soweto to the world, from Soweto, Etladi, to taking our South African food to the world, over 140 countries. What words would you use to just encapsulate this journey?
It feels surreal. It feels like a dream. I'm also very grateful for the platform to share our story, because when you look around all over the world, you can find street food documented. But for us as Africans, we don't archive, we don't document. So when I got the platform, I was like, the first thing I want to do is tell our story.
Yes.
So it makes me so proud, because you definitely will catch everything that I even grew up eating SOA2 on the show.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And you said on the first episode was even Amautwane.
No, first episode was Ikota, because,
Ikota.
I mean, proudly South African sandwich that we all love. And
Wow.
just makes me so proud, because our story needs to be heard as well. You know, food is identity.
Growing up, I want to get into your home. Walk me through the home.
Yes.
What were the aromas? What was the experience with food? What made you love food so much?
So first memories for me is coming back from school. We are small and mom is at work, Gogo is at home looking after us, and it's a rainy day. We used to walk to school. You come back and you are wet and cold. As you walk in, the whole house is laced with this beautiful aroma. Bone marrow soup, sopo ya marapo, the cabbage. You know, for me, that was like a love language. Or amascones, baking. I would walk in and think, oh my gosh, I am definitely loved, because how did you know this is what I needed? And also a lot of time in the kitchen. I used to cook with my mom a lot. It was myself and my sister growing up. And when we shared chores, mine was cooking, because I still don't like doing laundry or cleaning, but I'll cook the whole day nonstop. So I was the designated chef.
The chef, you're always the chef. And you said you started cooking at the age of 13.
Yeah.
I mean, what were you cooking then? And What were some of your favorite things to make then?
So what I was cooking is definitely what my mom was cooking. She loves to, she always says I'm living her life because she loved to experiment in the kitchen. So I'd always be with her in the kitchen as she's playing around with recipes. And I loved how she would take, everyday ingredients and make amazing meals. It took me until I was a teenager to actually realize, we are working with little, we don't have
I always used to be so amazed at how our moms could make anything out of the bare minimum in the fridge.
And then the baking. I loved baking. I would make Spider-Man cakes for my brother and my nephew. I mean, I lost it because, baking needs a lot of discipline. It needs a lot of patience. Right now, I'm all about hot kitchen because we are freestyle lab when you cook from here.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
And you often talk about your mom kept everything together in the home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And regardless of the challenges that you faced, you got up and kept moving.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
That's like you. When I saw that you actually spoke about that and you mentioned something like that, I was like, but that's you. You're that person.
Right? We become our parents in so many ways because even just thinking back to my mom, she had a job, but then she would also sell on the side and do different things just to raise an income. So I watched from her. You're right. That is definitely me. I mean, I never had to do one thing. 16 and a half, I finished high school. They didn't have enough money to take me through tertiary. I had to work. So I started working then. I was fortunate 3 months into Technicon SA. I won Miss Technicon SA, so they gave me a job. Like they knew I needed money to pay for my tuition. So
God always meets you where.
Right, at your point of need. So I've always done more than one thing. I've never had an opportunity to just do only school. It's always been school and work. Even when I started my business, with my last job, for the last 2 years, I was working. I'd have 2 laptops, my own business and
still work.
And I made sure I was just excelling, with both. Yeah.
And when we were talking behind the scenes, we spoke about the transitions in your life and how when, during the lockdown and that transition out of, into lockdown, it wasn't unfamiliar to you. Those changes and the adjustment was not unfamiliar to you.
At all. I had my world fell apart in 2012. Then I've always been an entrepreneur. I was into fashion. I had 3 retail stores. My flagship store was in Melrose Arch. I was one of the first black tenants to open there in 2009. It was the highlight of my career because what I didn't mention was when I left home at 16 and a half, Uma 800 from here. That's all she had. So for me, it was like, oh my gosh, from all of that, look what I've achieved, I had a facilities management business, but as business does, sometimes it works out, other times it doesn't. So things got very complicated. I had to start over. My world fell apart. Now, then I had a property in Hyde Park. I had a Jaguar with a driver. I had a Porsche Cayenne, so I had to sell all of that, pay off debts. I had to sell my house to start over. And I had the most humbling experiences. I had to go to school full time. 2015, I took myself back to culinary school. So when lockdown happened and COVID happened, for me, it felt like a replay of what I had gone through in the last few years. So it was sort of a nice way to go through what's the word that we use? Like with everyone.
Like a collective grief and
there
reset.
You go. Yeah, a collective grief because before I had done it on my own. So it wasn't as scary because the feeling of not going through it alone, because before then, your world is falling apart. Yesterday you were this top flyer with amazing friends, and then the next thing your life has changed. And yes, people disappear as well because you have no money to pay for champagne when we go out for lunches, So you're a liability. And also even for me, I took a decision then that I need to focus on working on myself and rebuilding. Hence, I went back to school. Yeah.
And we really talk about this part of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship and about careers and our journeys, right?
Yeah.
We always want to focus on how best to do it, how best to move forward. We never talk about I had to go back and reset.
Yeah.
And that is hard too, because you also don't want to give when you've overcome, I think, you don't want to give a false sense of you can always pick it up again. Because that is a tough journey to have to pick yourself up and work yourself back into.
Absolutely. And from that journey, I'm realizing now that there's some bad habits that I picked up from there, because then you operate from a sense of fear, because everything is almost falling apart. Everything, and then you are panicking and you're doing everything that you can, and everything is intense, you know. So even as an entrepreneur, like, I come on very intense because oh my gosh, the world is falling apart. But then you realize that, and I mean, this is me now where I am today as I continue to do work on myself, that actually you have a lot of bad habits that you've picked up from your recession, you know.
Your recession mentality.
Your recession mentality. Outgrow it. Yeah.
What was that first big moment like? What was it firstly? And what was it like, that first big moment, after you started working on your recovery plan?
So that journey was, imagine lockdown, where for a while you do nothing. So I'm in culinary school and I have a lot of blank spaces. You know, you have a vision, you come up with a plan. I'm working with what I have, and I thought, okay, I'll start with blogging. I know I want to be a chef, let me blog. But there's a lot of blank spaces, and it took me a lot of years. It didn't happen overnight. A lot of years with working, because remember, as you work, I'm making enough just to pay bills, you know, cover the basics, but I'm still trying to stay afloat. So that moment for me, to be honest, I would say it's the food network, because everything else, I feel like I was still in that
was
space.
The building blocks.
It was still, So it just happened for me. That moment was just before lockdown. Even as we were in lockdown, I was like, oh my God, thank gosh.
At least. At least.
That there is something positive outside of this.
Absolutely. And I mean, with success comes hits and misses. They are blurred. Like half of the journey sometimes is blurred. You don't know whether you're going to make it out to the end. What was your feeling at the time when you knew that these are the building blocks of where I'm going? Is it as grey as we all make it out to be? Or do you feel like you're sometimes just feeling it and you need to sit in the joy?
I think it differs, you know. Every day is different. But what I've learned from my own journey is that don't take it too serious. So I decided to then take it one day at a time. I'd wake up every morning. Do you have a roof over your over your head? Yes. Food, good. Are you healthy? Great. What are you now doing? Just the one building block towards the bigger picture. So those are the ones that force you to choose over and over, you know, the path that you dedicated yourself to. For me, even when I was in Soweto, I've always known that, you know, I love the journey of being an entrepreneur. I knew that there was room for me in the world. I knew that I had to go on a journey finding it. I'm from a household where I was taught the work ethic, you know, the value of working and working hard. So I was prepared for the hard work. I was not prepared for the hardship, and I'd continue calling my mom, why did you not warn me?
I say it to my mom all the time. You guys lied to us.
Exactly.
you sold us a dream and a fuss about this whole adulting thing.
So I made myself a promise. When I have kids, all my nieces and everyone around me, I keep telling them, listen, you can be anything you want. But trust me, life is a paradox. Don't be an adult, because adulting is a trick. But then, you know, you look back at those moments, those are the moments that bring out the best in you. They build character. I wouldn't have it any other way. I say that because I'm on this side.
Yeah.
But when I was going through it, I was praying, you know, for it to stop. But the journey of life anyway, it's just a journey of about learning about yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, even when you go through challenges, there's lessons in them.
Absolutely.
So in my journey, I'd always try and make sure that at least I pick up the lessons so I don't repeat the class.
And how much of your pride took a knock having to start from ground zero? Because remember, you sold a Hyde Park home, your cars had to go, you had to start from nil. Pride?
No, I was thoroughly humbled. I am the most humble person ever. And I think I needed it, you know, because you don't realize the person that you become as you go through life. And I think because everything worked out so easy for me very young, so that maybe worked on my ego as well. So I feel like personally, that journey was just for me to also work on myself and just so I can appreciate what is important in life. And it's just everything that costs no money. You know? Yeah.
And I want to go a step back. As your entrepreneurial journey comes crashing down in the fashion space, what is going through your mind at that point? When you're feeling like this is really falling apart, do you register that in the moment?
Oh, you absolutely register it, and it's a very funny feeling. That's why I compare it to lockdown and us finding out that we have to now stop everything and then sit at home, because that's what it was for me, because life as I knew it wasn't anymore. But my brain is used to, you know, so I had to continue reminding myself, or you are not the same girl. And also look around you, even people are not, you know, the people that you used to have are also not there. And it was difficult. Panic, I think panic is the word, you know, panic, yeah.
And most of the times, you know, we tend to doubt ourselves, and often we doubt our purpose, and we doubt our trajectory. We listen to what people tell us we should be doing.
Yeah.
We have this idea of other people surely should see something in me in this moment.
Yeah.
And to go from fashion to food is quite a jump.
Huge.
It's a jump, but there was a passion meeting you somewhere there.
Yes. So when I shifted, I love fashion, I love food, I love music, and I think I love all of them equally. So when everything fell apart, I thought to myself, one, I know that working is part of life. So what else are you going to do that you still enjoy? And the only thing that I hadn't commercialized, I love music, but I can't sing, so couldn't do anything with that.
Maybe be a DJ.
You know? So I thought, okay, cook, because it's the most natural thing for you. It doesn't feel like work. However, everyone around me, including my own mother, everyone was saying no, because remember, you don't look at chefs. Only recently we've got your Gordon Ramsays, your Siba showing us that it's possible. But chefs were not game changers doing amazing things. So I had to now, in that time, I had my own lockdown. I distanced myself from everyone around me, and not because I thought or doubted their support or their love, but because I needed to listen to my voice more than I listened to their voice. Because no one had ever done it. No one had ever, because I mean, I showcased on Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. So even in the fashion space, I did really well. So people thought, no, it's not possible. How do you move from one space to the next? But I knew it was. And I knew, though, it was going to take time. So I had to then, you know, push people away and just be quiet and sit in my own head for a little while. And that little while is years or sometimes months on end.
And Did you ever worry about this element and this inkling voice, abantu bazothini?
Oh, for sure. It's the first thing. I mean, even with my retail business, I wasted a lot of money. I had a facilities management business that was thriving. I would have lots of properties all over the place, but I would take money from a thriving business and put it to pay rent for 3 retail stores because they were not doing well, and abantu bazothini. So for a good 2-3 years wasting, I mean, that is, I think about it and it's one of the areas where I feel like this is what I could have done different. You know, if it doesn't work, yeah, abantu, because they'll keep saying stuff anyway, regardless, yeah.
Sure.
So I still struggle with it today, even, I mean, I'm human, you know.
I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs also struggle with getting their products onto shelves.
Yeah.
Not only have you commercialized being a chef, gone onto international stage of being a chef, but you've also commercialized your brand.
100%.
In spices and in aprons.
Yeah.
How, you know, what sparked that idea for you, number one? And number two, how difficult was the journey of commercializing your work?
It was definitely difficult, not easy, but the inspiration for me was representation, because even within South Africa there wasn't representation. You would never, I mean, Siba was the only black female chef who was representing us, you know. So for me, it was important that even on the shelves, you go to any supermarket, you'll find Mexican sauces, you'll find different cultures, Italian sauces packaged, but ushatini, gravy, tamati, as black people, we love it. Chakalaka is our favorite. So for me, it was just for making sure that there is room for us as well. And I'm grateful I did that because it's really, I mean, we're doing well, the products are really doing well. My main clientele is corporate. When I do virtual master classes, we sell them packages that include products. My recent order was with MTN for 500 packs. So I sell online. Because of my experience in retail, I know that you don't necessarily need, you know, there's other ways around it. I sell online and I focus on my corporate clientele. I do big numbers without even being in your mainstream retail stores.
Amazing,
so,
amazing. And this comes from leveraging off your own personal brand as well, and not just like depending on the gigs. But your personal brand has sold you before you walk into the room, and has sold your products before you walk into the rooms.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I when I get booked, I'm already selling product. You know, so my journey as an entrepreneur has helped me now as a chef in that I understand how to commercialize and I understand how to find spaces and gaps in the market. You know, and that's really been working amazing.
Absolutely.
And hoping for the best.
And often as, you know, a black person or a black woman, there's a stereotype, a service stereotype, right, that is attached to us. Black people don't service or service people as well. Black people are lacking when it comes to service and humility in the workplace. Has this stereotype ever followed you even when you've gone over and above what you do? And how do we actually, you know, remove the stereotype and reprogram our minds to, you know, as we work with black chefs or work with black talent, we remove our conscious and unconscious bias before we walk in the room.
So I'm lucky enough to get my training from corporate. And what I learned from being in a corporate environment is that when you're black and you're female in the boardroom, and I would see it all the time because I used to be like the legally blonde girl in my pink suit walking into the boardroom. And then you can tell from the looks that as you walk in, people are wondering, who is she sleeping with to be here, you know? So that taught me very early that I need to work 10 times as hard And I took that with me even into the space currently. You are definitely working way harder than your male counterpart because there's a stereotype now, I mean, that's always been there in the culinary industry that male chefs are better, whereas we cook as,
All the time.
All the time. You start cooking. I mean, I've been cooking from when I was 13,
Yeah.
you know, and most male chefs will learn how to cook only when they get to culinary schools. And also the fact that you are black. So I try and do my best to give more in everything that I do. I always give 150, 180, and the reason for that is because I'm aware of that stereotype.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to take a while for us to remove, us personally, as black people as well, the unconscious biases and the conscious biases too, of how we treat each other as service providers, and also how we treat each other as service, as people that are receiving service.
There you go.
So it's a lot of work that we have to do too, to just walk into an experience and experience people for who they are.
Right.
And just to, you know, have a first-hand experience and have first experience with people, you know, when you meet them, instead of having preconceived ideas.
We just need to do that whole unlearning thing.
Absolutely.
You know?
So you've traveled so much internationally. You've been exposed to different cultures. What are some of the similarities that you've drawn between other places you've been to and what our relationship with food is and how we do food and how we also do service of food?
I have been fortunate to travel. When it comes to Mediterranean style of cooking, the way we treat our food, there is a lot of similarities with how we cook as Abantu. You know, we like to cook fresh, as in buy our produce fresh. I mean, Italians would go to the market every day to shop for lunch because lunch is a big deal. They use very little spices like us. You know, everything is fresh, and they love a sense of, you know, family coming together. Turkish food, very similar from our food. I mean, if you go to Turkey, it's one of my favorite. Most things are tomato based. They grill their meat. Their meat, Greek food, is similar to our food. I mean,
really?
Yeah. I mean, we love chicken. And we are Soweto, you find the chicken dust.
Yeah.
This is,
do they also
on
do
open
chicken
flame.
dust?
Yeah, it's open flame chicken.
Okay.
And that's the Greek chicken, you know. We love tomato-based sauces. They love tomato-based sauces. We just treat ours differently from them. I am borrowing so much from the Italian polenta in my journey because they fry it, they turn it into chips, they make gnocchi and all of that.
Much like what you've done, having a modern twist to traditional food, like fried pap.
Yeah.
I think it is. There's one recipe
crispy fried
pap.
Yes.
What are other kind of modern twists that you've put to food?
So I make ibao. Ibao is like your Asian cuisine. It's dumpling, but I make it ngojeke, like proper dumpling, and you fold it, and I'll do like your hard body chicken, and you pull it.
I just got hungry.
And then the cabbage and a bit of chakalaka.
So
now you have our own version of ibao in South Africa. You know, yeah. So fusion is the way. It's the future because there's so much similarities in how we eat.
And I mean, that's what made, my mouth is so watery right now. And that's what made the success of your cookbook.
Yeah.
You put all these beautiful modern day twists on traditional food that we have here.
Absolutely.
Was it just an idea that you had to do that? Or was it a demand that you saw in us, this generation, wanting that modern day, bring back the old food that we grew up with, bring back the nostalgia and merge it with? Food connects us, especially food that you grew up eating. It connects you to a beautiful place that you can't even, tap into. So for me, when I was playing around with recipes, I wanted to make sure that I harness that, and remember, we change. Times have changed. We eat the way we did in the past because of the way the situations were, but then let's shift and change the narrative. I just love the idea of making special meals using everyday ingredients, because
South Africa, majority of our population is still in the townships.
Yeah.
People are working with little. So for me now, when I did my first cookbook, I was dedicating it to the 13-year-old me, you know, because I used to cook, I used to collect recipe books, and then half the time I would have to go and find what's this ingredient.
Yes.
So I wanted
and you
to
have to
make
go
sure
far to find it.
So I wanted to take that away and just make sure that, you know, people, there's a sense of pride that's instilled on your plate. With ipapa and spinach, turn it into croquettes. It's a fusion of the French. I mean, croquettes is just mashed potato, deep fried into balls. It's crispy on the outside. I make that with ipap, and then I stuff it with different things. It's just magic, you know?
Amazing.
Food that you are proud of, but you're not breaking the bank.
Yeah, and then came street food in Africa.
Yes.
What are some big lessons that you've learned of the transition from having a successful cookbook to a TV show now, airing internationally? And before street food in Africa, there was the
Celebrity Mystery Box. Yes.
And that was more, you know, cooking with celebrities and a celebrity game show, right?
Correct.
And then you shifted into a different format of having your own show.
Yeah.
Right? What are some lessons along the way?
Sure. The lessons for me is that the pre-production must start like 3 months even. Especially if you're going to be telling a story about a people. So on street food in Africa, the vision was for me to go and visit the street food vendors with a celebrity, try out their food, their favorite food, and then go into studio in Dubai, because the studio was in Dubai, my set was built there, and then give it my modern take. So because of COVID, we couldn't do that. And I've just been feeling a bit like people they're missing out on the culture. I wanted to take them to Chisanyama, you know, go to Chisanyama so they can see and get a feel of how we eat and the reasons why we come together, you know. So what I'm learning is for a pre-production, especially where you want to tell a story of a people, you want to give yourself enough time. So I want to continue telling a story. I've appointed myself an ambassador, self-appointed, you know, because it's important that we archive. It's important that we have a point of reference, you know, for the world. You know, Africa has become very trendy all of a sudden. Any African
Everyone's
narrative.
Coming here.
Exactly.
And it's exciting. It's so exciting.
I love it. I mean, African fashion, if you watch the show, I'm wearing tribal prints because we are such a beautiful continent, alive with so many possibilities and colors. So, Mina, I am ready to just go to Ghana, Abuja, Lagos, and go to East Africa, go to North Africa, because we're such a beautiful continent, you know. These borders are there, but we shouldn't let them separate us as a people. So I want to, hopefully with the show, just collectively tell a story of who we are as Africans.
Do you know what I'm looking forward to? I hope the borders open. Because at the end of Ramadan, they're like is it the Ramadan feast? What is it called? When the Muslims break their fast? I need to be in Nigeria.
The food. Yo.
Sounds so bad.
The food.
I'm sorry to my Muslim audience.
The food. Yeah, Nigerian cuisine is actually one of my favorite foods.
I was there last year when they were breaking the fast.
And?
No, was it last year? Was it last? No.
2019, yeah, because 2020 doesn't count.
No, 2020 doesn't count. It's when I say last year, I mean 2019. But the food in Nigeria, amazing.
Yeah, I've had opportunities to work there. I judged a competition in Nigeria, African Young Chefs competition. I was there for a whole week, and it was all about food. And everyone from Africa.
And how are you this skinny? I can't have such a beautiful body.
Rocky. I have a 4-legged baby, my dog, and he walks. He walks twice a day. He demands his walks. So he also helped me even in my time when I was transitioning. I couldn't have a pity party because he wakes me up. Let's go for a walk. And then by the time you leave the house and you're outside, life is good. So I do a lot of walking. I am very conscious about staying active. active because I see the value. You know, when I'm active, I can push more. I can push more hours because what people don't tell you is that culinary industry is a lot of work, guys.
It is.
Yeah.
I like seeing you guys at it and working. I see how beautiful things come out, and I've been at most of your SA events, especially branded ones, where I've seen the glitzy side and the beautiful, like, what is it called, plating. And then you also think about the work behind the scenes.
When you see that plate, you find that the prep started at 5 in the morning for you to have a plate at dinner, if it's a function. And you're running around carrying heavy pots and this and the other. A lot of lifting and carrying heavy stuff. So that also helps because it keeps you fit. So I try and stay active. I try and exercise so I can build my self stronger to carry this.
And what's next for Chef Nti?
Right now, I'm sort of enjoying this journey with the new show. It's just launched. It's only been a month. So celebrating, I like getting calls from people and messages and WhatsApps from people in Africa when they're watching the show throughout the continent. So I'm just enjoying the show. I'm looking forward to going back to Dubai.
Is there a new season in the works?
I'm hinting. Yeah, so there is a new season in the works. We still, obviously, I can't talk about it because we're still finalizing. But the narrative continues. I'm still doing my best to tell our story on a plate.
Amazing. Where can I find your book if I'm anyone watching this?
You get it from retailers like Woolworths, exclusive books, and online. They deliver throughout the continent on Take a Lot.
Okay, cool. Amazing.
And of course, chefnti.com. So I also have a shop, an online shop, so you can order directly from myself.
I know there's recipes on your... do you still have recipes on your blog?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
so go online, find some nice, proudly South African recipes.
So not only the cookbook can you purchase there, but you can get free recipes online at chefnti.com. And then the show is on
Food Network, DSTV 175 on Wednesdays at 19:55, 5 to 8.
Yeah. We say 5 to 8 in South Africa. Do people say 5 to 8 everywhere else? Do they speak like that?
I think so, no?
Like when we were in Dubai,
no, 1955,
like
no.
Say 1950, they wouldn't say 5 to.
Yeah, 5 to, quarter to, 22, And it repeats also on Sundays in the afternoon at quarter to 3. The Sunday slot is doing very well as well because I'd imagine most people at home,
we're eating, we're cooking. So Sundays quarter to 3?
Sundays quarter to 3, Wednesdays 5 to 8.
5 to 8.
Yes.
And it plays every day?
It plays on Wednesdays and Sundays.
Okay.
And it repeats, I think, every day. Food Network likes to do that.
Yeah, they like to repeat it throughout the day sometimes in
Absolutely, because I know it repeats on Thursdays as well. So
Wednesdays and Sundays, look out for it.
Yes.
Street food in Africa. And look out for Chef Nti's cookbook. I got mine at Jackson's. It's available at Woolworths. It's available at takealot.com and on chefnti.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Talking about pleasure.
The cooking career.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this edition of The Sit Down Careers. We're in conversation with Chef Nti on her journey of going from a fashion mogul and adjusting to being a chef, a world-renowned chef. Until next time.